Good afternoon, journalism and broadcasting students. This is Mr. Coles. Just going to walk you through some of the ways in order to make a podcast. First place we're going to start, we're just going to look from our journalism and broadcasting Google Classroom. Just a reminder about a couple of places where we can find some links. I've added the Twisted Wave online audio editor as a link to the About section of our classroom. And I will add the two other sites that I've shared with you, which is the Free Music Archive and the freesound.org websites, in order to add some editing type properties to your podcast. So I just want to take a minute, show you how we're actually going to create that podcast. Using Twisted Wave, simply select New, Empty File. You may need to allow the Twisted Wave website to access the microphone of your Chromebook. Simply allow that to happen. And then you can simply hit record. And you can start to talk. And you can see that as I'm recording this video, I'm also recording some audio here. And I'm just going to stop that. And I've recorded about 15 seconds here. And that recording will go into, when I close this, go into here. So you can see it's called Untitled. I'm just going to rename it. For select it there, you can tell it's selected because it's blue. Click rename, and I'm just going to call this example. And remove this untitled portion. And now I have an example here. The other thing I'm going to do is we'll pretend that that example is actually your podcast. 3 to 5 minutes in length from the journalism and broadcasting stream. Just going to select that Free Music Archive. And just looking for something that is going to work well with my podcast. I'm just going to choose some instrumental here, and not too sure what I'm going to pick, but let's turn my volume up on the computer. We're going to choose this one called Building Time Lapse. Not too sure what this is. We'll just listen to it for a second. Okay, I think that's something that I can probably use. Let's download it. See, it's downloading there. And then from Twisted Wave, I can actually upload that as well. So by selecting New, Upload a File, and it should show up here. Oh, this one here, the Poddington Bear time-lapse. Open that. It will upload. Just take a moment. And you can see this new file. Okay. Now, because we're just using the free version of this Twisted Wave, there are a few limitations in what I can do, but works pretty well. You can see it's playing this music. And what I'm going to do is in this sound file, I can tell that the music will stop here, right where it moves from bouncing up and down with these big waves to this straight line. So I'm actually going to take that portion out. And how I do that is I highlight it, I can go edit, and I can copy. That's now saved in the memory of the computer, that little bit of that sound file. I can go to the example that I made, and I'm going to make that the intro to that example. I want to get this as close to, I think I can move to the start here, it will automatically move to the very beginning of the file, and I can go edit, paste, and now that sound file, that Poddington Bear time lapse, is now at the beginning. Put my cursor back there, hit play, and you can see that it's playing that little bit of music that I removed from that building time-lapse sound file. It's going to play, and you can start to talk, and you can see that. So you could also see there that I had the first the sound file, and then that little example that I created a couple of minutes ago. So we can imagine that that example will then run for 3 to 5 minutes. I can go select, move to end. I'm now at the end of that sound file, and I can actually place that sound file, that Poddington Bear, at the end as well. So it's like we've got this sound file that starts it, the talking podcast portion, and then the sound file that ends it as well. And it's just kind of this 2 bookends that wrap up the podcast. Once we've done that, in order to share this file with me, what you're going to want to do, I'll actually open it again. So I shouldn't have closed it there, but open it again. Go to File and just download it. It will take a moment. Do not select this export selected audio. That will just do the chunk that you maybe have highlighted. So we're going to download the whole thing. Take a moment or two. The bigger it is, the longer it's going to take. And the file's called example.mp3. You remember we talked about MP3 files are a type of sound file. So I know that that's downloaded. You can then actually go to your Google Drive. I'm just going to put it in here, which is my journalism and broadcasting folder. Go New, File Upload, Example, Open, and it will now open up, it will now upload that file. You can select it, and you can actually share it with the individuals that are in your group and with myself. So you would put in Dan Coles, there I am right there, and you would put in the other group members so they have access to it as well. Write a little note, Mr. Coles, here is our podcast. Oops. Here's our podcast. And sign your names to it, and then hit send, and I'll get an email letting me know where that file is so that I can take a listen. There you go. That's the steps that you'll follow in order to share that with me. So, I've shown you how to use Twisted Wave, shown you how to download some music. The other sound location is freesound.org. You can certainly try that out as well. And just follow the same steps. Download them, upload them to Twisted Wave, include them in the file that you're creating. Create that, download it, upload to Google Drive, and then you can share it with me. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that that's been helpful and that you can create those podcasts. You do have one period to do that, the 80-minute period on Wednesday, October the 11th, and I look forward to seeing the results. Please make sure you read through the instructions from the podcast assignment sheet. Follow the tips, and just make sure you're getting down to business and not getting too silly. I will be in the building, so if Mrs. Lightham needs me, she can certainly find me, and I will come around. Good luck, guys, and have fun.